I always think that a true friend, a genuine friend, would be a person where, in a situation where the two parties are benefiting from it. Remember one of the conversation I was having with Dr. Dami, and then we were talking about the fact that, funny enough, it seems like we're all using each other. But then it's like, okay, don't use the word. Use it. But then to put it in a lighter sense is the fact that we are all benefiting from it. It's not just one-sided. It's not, there's this particular biological word. It's not a parasitic situation where one person is the one just sucking the benefit and then the other person is suffering from it. Do you get what I'm saying?
I get.
So once again, on this episode of No Cap, we will just talk about, carrying parents along. That's just basically what we want to talk about now. So, but then, there are different angles to carrying parents along with things happening. So there is a side of it, like we were talking before, and I was like, there is a side of carrying parents along with things happening in our lives, yeah? And there is also a place of carrying parents along with recent developments in life, or let's say in the world. So I'll tell you the reason why this is coming up. So I was having a conversation with my mom. It was more like my mom and I were working on a particular thing online, and then I realized that it felt a bit too much for her. You understand? My mom likes technology as well, but then I realized that this was kind of too much for her to take. It was overwhelming. And I realized that it just got dawned on me that for me, it was pretty easy. A lot of people would probably assume it to, these people are older generations, blah, 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 blah. Then it got dawned on me like, wait, we keep saying they're older generation. They're not dead. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're also in the same world, but it is because they do not have the information we are privy to. We are privy to this information. That's why it seems a bit easier for us. So, and now it came to a point where I had to just tell myself that, the recent innovations in our era now, or development technologically, is one thing that we now need to start bridging the gap and letting our parents know about them. So for example, my mom has been on my neck, like, she really wants to use this particular device. She really wants to use it. Let's go get it. Let's go. And I'm like, Mom, let's just take it easy, yeah? Because I would want her to know more of the pros and cons before she gets it. Because I know my mom is, when it comes to technology, she really wants to learn about those things. But it's now, and I feel it's more important, or let's say it might be beneficial when we take them along, carry them along, because we might be, like I said, privy to this information, but they're not. So I feel it's important that if we pick them along about those lines of, okay, this is what is really happening now, let them get to use it, and as well, we having the patience to also teach them as well. It would not be too overwhelming for them, maybe when it comes to a situation of, we need to work on this, and then because I've come to realize that there are some times we'll probably want to work on something, and then, of course, I would not do it disrespectfully, never. But you understand, there's a way my mom and I would always jest about it. So I'm like, come on, Mom. No, you should know this. And then my mom is like, you should teach me. do you get what I'm saying? Exactly. So I now realize that it's even important that we have that patience as well, to teach them. So, but then I just wanted to hear from your side as well. I just feel it's important that we can take them along, because if there is a need to use that thing, it becomes too overwhelming for them. It's like, I don't understand this. So I just feel it's important. So.
Well, I agree with you. It's funny looking back at my mom and dad. Some things especially when I was still at home, and they were like, "Oh, come and do this for me," and I'm like, "This thing is it's not hard now." They don't know it. The thing is, so what I think is, they are up to date on a lot of things.
True.
Economy, things happening in their individual countries, they know. But then when it comes to technology is getting more complicated. Phones now. The phones you had then, very simple. You had the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like the buttons, and you had the screen. It was easy. They knew how to use it. Now everything is touch screen.
It's sophisticated.
It's more sophisticated, more functionality, and all. And like you said, they haven't been exposed to it enough to keep it in their mind what is what. Yeah. So I think that's the main problem. Look at children now. Children are born now. They can operate a phone better than us.
That's right.
So obviously we knowing to handle these devices better than them is understandable, because this is what we are brought up in. We need to use it more often than they might need, like using a system, tab, all these things, cars, some other things we might need to do. But look, there are a lot of older people who understand all this technology, who are vast, like who have all these sophisticated cars. They understand it. They will even be the one to teach you, because they use it often, or who have these phones and tabs. Like people still in tech industries or doing stuff, even though they're old, they're still, you know, conversant with all these things. So I think the problem is not giving, there not being adequate time to, you know, learn these things. So at the moment when you need it, you can't just say, I'll teach you now. Oh, remember this. If I don't use it again after that point, by the time I need it again, I would have forgotten. So that's why they always forget, because they don't need to. A lot of all these things, they don't need to use it that often.
I just remembered something, what you just said. For example, passwords.
Yeah.
I know it's very common for older generations to forget passwords.
Yes.
But then there are resources available now that can help to keep passwords, you know. But then I feel that sometimes they would also feel, oh, this is not safe enough, you know. Some are like kind of used to the crude way of, okay, let's just write it down somewhere safe. But then I feel that there are also better resources online, you know. Just like, for example, look at the Apple settings. Now Apple has got like a provider that can help you keep your password as well. I mean, the same with other Samsung as well.
That's sorry for cutting. That's the same thing. Like, look, like some people, like they have the TVs, like this big sophisticated smart TVs. Let's assume they don't watch TV that often, or maybe they watch when their children are around. So the children are the ones always using it. They don't use it. By the time they need to operate it by themselves, they're like, oh, this, like, what is happening? And then you tell them, oh, remember, this is the button for that. This is controls this controls this. Okay, they do it in the moment. They don't use it again. 2 months later, you expect them to remember.
So, but then that's why they won't remember. True. That's why I also feel it's important that we might start encouraging them to start using these things, not out of compulsion, but you know, sometimes I feel that when we make people understand the benefit of something, and now it can make life easier as well, or just even if it's just for entertainment, you know, I feel like just 20 minutes of just your time with it, it would be helpful.
True.
You know, so I feel like it's important that we might start encouraging them that, okay, in this thing, you can use it this way. Just try it out. You don't have to do it all the time. Or even if it's just on weekends, you want to try it out. I mean, it's something that, you know, so for example, the reason why I'm also saying this is so that when these people find themselves, these of our older generations, like our parents, when they find themselves in different circles or different environments, it's easy for them to fit in. You know, they don't feel left out. They don't feel left aside. Because I also feel that I don't expect that our older generations or generations of our parents are only going to be in circle of people who are of their same age bracket. I feel there might be situations as well that they might have to deal with people who are younger as well. So that they don't feel left aside, they don't feel like too naive or ignorant about a particular thing. We need to as well start encouraging them, you know, about this particular, and it doesn't have to be technology alone. It could even be a lot of other things. Exactly, you get what I'm saying? It could be medicals. It could even be place of healthy living, like physical exercises, those little things. It doesn't have to be like the old way, or even when it comes to diet, for example, the way things are now, newer researches are coming out, all of these things. I feel that it's important that we might keep, because I've come to realize that sometimes our parents are even the one that would know about it, then they take us along with it, they would teach us about it, but then when we learn it, we often hoard those informations. We don't release it out to our parents to, you know, get familiar with it, get vast with it, so they can as well benefit from it. And because I feel that when they benefit from it, they would definitely introduce it to their friends, you know. And I feel that even if our friends or their friends' children are learning, or maybe let's say teaching them, they would share with them and then they will bring it back to us. It's more like everything becomes like a cycle, so the knowledge and the information goes around. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons why I just feel it's really, really important to think about that. You know, let me give you an example. So one of the things I know my mom is working on now is a particular system she's using, or like a software to manage her business. And it's more like when we say Internet of Things. I mean, even being in further distance, she can control or like manage everything remotely without even being present in the place. So
that's easier.
So, you know, you think about all of those things, and I feel it's important that we as young folks who get most of this information, let's put the parents along, you know, put them along, get them to get started on this thing. So it makes life even easy for them, because, you know, I know that by experience, older generation might want to stick with the crude way because they're used to it. They're comfortable with it, and it might be even difficult to switch out of the comfort zone. But it's better to now let them know the benefits, like, okay, this is going to make your life better. And it's just funny when you probably see a person who, let's say, prefers to still do laundries with their hands or do dishes with their hands. You know, like, don't stress out yourself. You know, don't stress out. Just use a machine, or you use the dishwasher. You know, all of those things. You know, let's use, for example, pounded yam. Man, sometimes I honestly, I really do not appreciate it. I know people like the stress, or people like the process, but then I feel it's stressful.
Wait, what do you unite?
Pounded yam.
Wait, what is the replacement?
There is
poundo yam.
No. Okay. There is poundo yam.
No, the poundo.
Wait.
There is one thing before you continue. Poundo yam and original pounded yam is they are not on the same level.
But when you look at it, yeah, a replacement to using mortar yam pesto is poundo yam. Poundo yam. Or processors. There are food processors. Yam processors does that. I mean, and you know, I've tasted that before, and it tasted really good. All you needed to do is cook your yam, make sure it's cooked well. Put the sugar, the salt you want to put it, and then put it into the yam processor.
But
it slices it through, and it comes out really good. You know, that makes it. You know, the time you'll be using for that process, that crude process, is just make life easy for yourself. You know, take that energy into something else. So that's why I feel like it's important. You know, even when it comes to food preparation as well. I mean, it's better to just get them along with this particular thing. That's why sometimes, I have a friend of mine. He's a comedian, and believe me, he has found his way of incorporating his mom into his comedy, into his skit, and I'm super happy anytime I see him doing it, because it's like he's taking his mom along. And the reason why we're probably going to switch it into the other topic is, so if his mom probably sees him doing a particular skit, she wouldn't feel, oh, why is my son doing this kind of thing? Because she would know that, oh, no, I'm used to it, I'm already incorporated into it. So even if I see him doing this kind of skit, I know this is what he has always been doing. So he doesn't feel like too much for the parent. So for example as well, I saw a video of KSI. I'm not sure if you know KSI. KSI was having a particular, just like the old setting, like the YouTube setting, with his parents, his mom and his dad. And there were some things KSI was saying. Believe me, it challenged me a lot. You know what? There were certain things KSI was saying, and I was like, and his mom was not surprised. The dad was not surprised. They were as well able to correct him right on the show. But then I could see that the level of intimacy, the level of relationship he has with his parent, that even things that might be, let's say, a level of erotic, he could say with his parents. And the shock was not there on their faces. Do you get what I'm saying? And there was this conversation that they could have, and I'm like, this is where we now need to even start getting parents to be in line with the things we do in our lives as well. You know, besides the fact of technological advancement, but even the things that are happening in our lives, you know, the experiences we're having, our circumstances. Now, it doesn't mean we're not becoming more like someone who's going to be having daddy issues or mommy issues. But then I'm just thinking of situations where we put them along, like, okay, this is what is going on, this is it, have conversations with them, so that maybe situations come up where we need to have this conversation. It doesn't become like we're just pouring it on their faces. So that's just what I see. That's why I see to it.
Deep. I mean, I agree with everything you said. I agree with everything you said. One point on the previous point of like the technological thing. I think one of the issues with the older generation is they just feel like, you know, there's that idea like, what are you doing? This is this is not the way.
This is not the way.
Come, let us teach you. Even we say we do it too now. We see like what are you like? Let's say for music, what are you singing?
Yeah.
Or why will you be using what's this thing that they use for the
is it okay auto tune?
Yeah. How do you be using no come tray of all? Do that. What are you doing? This is
It's like you need to go through the top.
Write a letter with your hand.
Yeah, write the
and
song.
send it from the postman. Why are you doing this? Which kind of car? What's unnecessary technology?
Yeah.
So that ideology is very prevalent.
Let me give you this funny joke here. Just sorry to cut you short. I remember when I got admission to like undergrad, because I did computer science, and I had done my first year. Like my second year when I went home, so my mom and I had an argument. We had a little argument. I was trying to clarify some things because normally, the way we have with our culture was like, you just keep quiet, you can't say anything. But when I gotten outside, I'd gotten some information. I'm like, okay, so I was talking to my mom and I was trying to clarify some things, this and this is what you do, this is how you do it. You know what my mom said? My mom was like, hey, stop it. Because you've started learning computer science does not mean you turn yourself into a god over me.
Yes, now. Yeah.
She was like, oh, because you're learning computer now, or because you're learning IT now, you feel like you're the god, right? You can do everything, right? Or you can command me or tell me what it is to do. I'm like, no, mom.
It's not like that. It's not like that.
I'm just trying to clarify, That's why I now realize that even with that as well, to be like, oh, you're just putting it in their face, it sounds like, oh, you feel like you know better, yeah? It's like she's trying to tell me, you think you know better, yeah?
Yeah.
You think you know better?
Their pride is above the sky. So I think that's
my dad back then would always do the same thing as well. Let's say, for example, I'm introducing my dad to eat noodles like Indomie, and then my dad is like, how can you be eating Indomie? You can't be eating noodles. It's like exactly. It's strong food. You can't. This is just like a very lazy kind of food. You just put it in water, put it later, and within 5-10 minutes you're done cooking. Cook food. But then when I introduced him to it and he started eating it, he started liking it.
Yeah.
He started enjoying it. And when I cook, he's like, oh, what about my own noodles? I'm like, oh, now you want to have noodles. Like, so you want to I'm like, oh, you want to have Indomie? I told you said it was just a lazy man. And it's like, oh no, cook it and put eggs. I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah, that's the thing. The acceptance. So it's not like, first of all, they don't really want to know. It's hard for them to accept this, because even if you're not putting it to them, society, life puts it to them already.
Exactly.
So it's already hard.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's not easy for them to be like, to accept that everything is changing. Everything they've known, everything that the core of what they grew up around is changing.
Things are
so
changing.
What is happening?
Things are changing.
And it makes it, it just makes it, or it makes them realize that we are getting old.
We're getting old.
We're moving out.
True.
So it's a mental.
I'm happy you're talking about it.
It's a mental. First of all, it's a mental process, and then that's where what you said comes in. Letting them understand the importance, how it can benefit them, and then gradually they would accept. Once they accept it, then it's easier to learn. Either you teach them or they go online or you show them how to. That's the easiest part of it. That's the easiest part of it. Even if they call you today, you tell them tomorrow they call you. After 2, 3, 4 times, once they are willing, they know it now. They have brain, they are smart, they can do things, they do other things. So it's not like they are technologically dumb or they are this kind of thing.
Even with that, I'm happy you talked about it, and it just gave me an idea that they realize they're getting old. However, newness or youthfulness now rises up again when they now start getting used to these new things.
Yes.
Because it gives them, and I just feel this is more, it could be more psychological or emotional, where it makes them feel like they're not being swept just to the back, like, oh, you're old.
Yeah,
it gives them that pride that, oh, I'm still young.
They're still young.
They might be old by age, but it gives them the pride of, oh yeah, I'm learning something that this younger generation, at least we're not left aside. They're not like there's this particular word I've forgotten this word. It's more like when people are getting old, you just like they feel deserted. Like
it's like you see those videos online now. You see this elderly person, he's elderly, but is dancing or is doing some things.
Exactly. Do you get what I'm saying?
It helps him. It makes him feel young. And even though people see from his physique that yes, he's getting old, they wouldn't just say, oh, they wouldn't put him, they wouldn't just, their brains wouldn't just say, oh, he's old.
Yeah.
He's the old young guy or something like that.
True.
But when you are disconnected from society, even young people, make difference. Like, why you're acting like an old person.
That's true.
Sometimes when you're so disconnected from society, from what is happening, you don't understand. Like, where are you? Are you living under a rock or are you living under a cage?
Which is why I also always advise to people, to people that there are certain things we would find ourselves doing, or that a certain environment we'll find ourselves where diversity is important. Diversity tends to, expand our mindset. Shout out to my friend where we were together yesterday, and believe me, I was telling her that there are so many things I've learned from her. That, I was just listening, because there were many things I'm like, I should learn on this, I should work on this. That diversity helps us, to even get more inspired, which is the same thing I feel that we can bring our parents along. But then not to leave that particular side. I also want us to just dabble into it a bit of carrying our parents along with things happening in our lives.
Definitely, carrying our parents on things happening in our lives is essential. It's essential. Sometimes I feel like I don't do that enough, because sometimes I'm just so caught up in everything.
And it's funny that it's when we have problems.
It's when I need to
run. That's when we run back to them.
To start explaining
exactly
from before, when I realize, I would need to go further back. So then at times I'm like, okay, I need to do them. Sometimes I just like send my dad like voice note, like just to keep you updated. Oh, this is what is happening. This is this. And I think it's good because it makes them feel special. It makes them feel wanted.
That's true.
Because it's not easy as parents. I'm not a parent, so I don't really know. But I don't think it's not easy for them, especially once I feel parents feel like once the child leaves the home and is on his own, like.
That's so, yeah.
That's
exactly what I'm saying.
So you need to, now it's up to you to keep them. I mean, obviously, once in a while they call and check up on you, how are you? But then they shouldn't always have to. We can also do more, keep them. Oh, this is what, even if just to say this is what's happening, they might not necessarily have any comment, any opinion, any advice. But just at least them knowing that you are taking the time to talk to them. And obviously, by the time you need help from them, advice, it's easier for them to give because they know what's happening. And even sometimes when you don't even think they might have any advice, they will tell you, why didn't you consider this?
Exactly.
It's just like having,
it makes it easy, It's like
counsel in the multitude of wisdom.
True, that's it.
And your parents being, if your parents, I assume your parents care about you.
You don't have to necessarily take everything they say.
You but
definitely pick something reasonable for me.
Because I believe your parents care about you more than anybody else.
True, that's true.
More than anybody else. So whatever they say is from the sincerity of their heart. From their, it might not be right, but you will gain something from it. So
that's why I also do that as well. When let's say there's a particular project I want to do, I'm telling my mom about it already. Like, okay, this is what I'm working on. Even when we started the YouTube channel, I just told her, like, this is what we're working on at the moment. She's like, oh, fine, just send us the link. Let me see. So I feel like all of those things are things we just need to, pull them along. Just for example, even when I'm going to the gym, I come to mom, say, okay, this is the plan for today, this is that. You don't have to necessarily tell her everything.
But just keep them
exactly, up. Even my sister, there'll be times like my sister was like, okay, it's time for me to head to the gym. This is like, okay, what are you doing today? What are you training today? I'm like, okay, this is it. Just be careful, this and that. So
I need to do that more. Sometimes I'll tell myself I need to, and I'll forget. Then once in a while, I'm like, okay, I call. Because my own family is big, then I'll call everybody, my parents. Then sometimes I'll forget, but then I'm trying to work on that. I think from everything, the main things are patience, because we need patience to understand that, first of all, like our parents, especially that's on the first part, to like there's a big change happening from them. So they need to come out from that shock and accept it before you now bring it to them. Because once they accept it and you let them see it's important, it's nice. Like, like you said, your mom using the Internet of Things, or like cooking too. You have air fryers now. You don't need
so there are
even
more healthy as well.
More healthy diets, more like
There's even like sustainable living as well.
There's a lot of
sustainability,
things.
that's true.
There's
that's
always continuous research on things and all. So even what they knew back then was solid information that we still
still
fall
good,
back
but
on.
then, of course, things are changing.
Adding this, So it's first of all, I think it's on their part. That struggle is there. So we need to let them be and help them. And then once they accept it, then you let them. And then also keeping them on things. I think it's essential. The first one, till you told me the topic, it never crossed my mind as something that was important, like keeping my parents up to date. Like, I mean, they just call, like, I mean, there are people at home, so if my mom or dad, they don't know anything with their phones, or like, they just call them. And back at home, they'll tell me, oh, Ray, how do you do this? I just did it.
That's true.
But as you were talking, that's when it just dawned on me, like, that change
is important.
that feeling of being old.
What about even when we need them to do it for us and we are incapable? I mean, let's say when we're incapacitated, we can't do it at that moment, and we just need them to help us do it. Are we going to be looking for someone else?
True.
We can get friends, but then what about if they are the only option?
There was even something else I was going to say, I forgot, which is it avoids, the issue of scamming and all. You see a lot of old people, because they don't understand. They say, come and help me with my phone. And the person takes all their money or steals information or uses them to steal information from somebody or something. So, I mean, knowledge is power. Knowledge is confidence. You, like you said, once you know, you understand, you're conscious of your situation, you understand everything happening. That your level of confidence boosts. It renews for them. I feel like it will renew their youthfulness.
That's right.
And their purposefulness. Because another thing is, in the realization that they are going out, is also the realization, like, am I still needed?
Exactly.
Because before we looked up to them for the information they had. Oh, I didn't know how to do this.
Now we don't look at them anymore.
Like you see, parents, they'll tell you, oh, they will give you stories now. When I was young, I used to do this. While they are doing it for you, and you look up to them like, wow, this man or this, my mother is so wonderful, or my father is this, or my uncle is this. He can. But now when things are changing, and then they are not conversant with that,
it feels like they've lost their usefulness.
Yeah, it feels like they've lost their usefulness. They are getting old. It's a lot of mental and emotional, and some people are not able to handle it. So there is that like pushback.
Fighting back,
Like it's rubbish. And there's also the idea of, which is in every generation, like what the next generation is always worse than what is happening before. They are going to look at, there's the belittling of what is happening, because they can't fathom to it. I mean, they are from a different age, from a different ideology. Bringing them in, they are living in a new age and a new ideology. It's different. There's conflict of understanding. So it will take time. Even if there is no shock and anything, just the fact that the two ideologies are different, it will take time. That's where patience comes in. Before they can see from the perspective of that new age. So I think those are the things.
So just please remember to drop your comment. Just tell us how you're able to, bring your parents along with the things happening in your life, or even with advancements we have in the world, sustainability, technological advancements, and all of those things. And tell us, let's just know your opinion on how it's been helpful for you, or even it might have been negative as well. Some people might not be helpful. So let's just know your opinions. Drop your comments. Remember, like, subscribe, and share with friends. And definitely, we're gonna wrap up this episode, and definitely we're gonna be seeing you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening.